Midweek Politics with Dave Pakman on midweekpolitics.com.
Hey, welcome back to Midweek Politics. You know, today I was driving to a conference and I actually turn on my Sirius radio and I hear something on the Howard Stern show that sounds surprisingly like this show. And it turns out that it was. Somebody, I guess, they heard or somebody sent them a clip of us alluding to an inside joke. It's an inside joke that because we're on regular radio, I'm not going to fully explain because it's not 100% family friendly, but we'll play for you the conversation from today's Howard Stern show. It's really pretty funny, and playing a clip of our show, which I was obviously glad to hear. Take a listen.
By the way, the phrase, get the poison out, has become very big on television as a result of the creator of the Sibian being here. Everyone knows that was one of the best shows ever.
Get that poison out of your system, Raven.
Right. That phrase is taking off like crazy. I'll give you some examples.
Where did it show up now?
All right, this is an Atlanta Hawks game. Here's the announcer, Steve Holman, working it in. Yet another play-by-play announcer using it.
Well, Hawks having a cleansing here tonight in Milwaukee, as Howard Stern would say, get the poison out, Hawks. Get the poison out.
Oh, well, at least he credits us.
Yes, very nice. Thank you for that. Also, Andy Freed, who is a big fan, worked it into the Tampa Bay Rays
a lot
broadcast.
of sports guys like to work it in.
Yeah.
Pop-ups, we had some punch, and then eventually, the great play by Wise at the end of the game. But we just had better approach yesterday.
The Rays got the poison out. They don't have to think about that July 23rd game.
It's the boil.
It's all over with.
Got the poison out. There it is. Andy, also a fan of the show, as you know. And here's a guy from the Midweek. This is just a podcast, Midweek Politics, working Get the Poison Out.
How about apologizing and addressing or maybe even doing something to fix the fact that there's an infestation of pedophile child molesters roaming around in the rooms where the Beatles are being discussed? Let's focus on that. Someone needs to say to the Pope, get the poison out of your system. And let's forget about commenting on pop culture references, at least until you have some child pedophilia resolved or at least addressed here.
Get the poison out of your system, Robin.
I'm trying.
Get that poison out of your system, Raven.
I need Dave back here.
Okay, so I don't know. That's great for us, Lewis. It actually, just from mentioning that and people searching, I guess, for Midweek Politics and finding our site, it crashed the website for hours today.
Yeah, it really doesn't take much to crash our website, though.
That's a whole other story.
Right.
But
but still, more hits than usual.
More hits than usual. And hits, by the way, is we don't use the term hits anymore. We talk about unique visitors, Lewis.
Oh.
You got to get with the program.
Mistake. I'm not privy to the lingo.
The Arizona immigration law. Last week, I basically just went off and said the entire law is a disaster. And I'm not changing my mind, but I am having somewhat second thoughts about how much racial profiling it will lead to. It turns out it might not be 100%. It might be a little bit less than that. The one thing that is making me think twice is everybody is going to be watching this, right? So maybe it's not going to just be racial profiling all over the place. We'll see. However, there is a Pima County Sheriff, Clarence Dupnick, who has been a cop 52 years. He says it will lead to racial profiling, and he actually just said he's not going to enforce the law. He just won't enforce it. Take a listen.
Story tonight. The Pima County Sheriff says he has no intention of enforcing the new immigration law. Clarence Dupnick calls it racist, disgusting, and unnecessary. Not on your sides, Steve Nunez is on Immigration Watch.
Okay, so that's interesting. An actual police sheriff is just going to not enforce the law. What problems will it cause for him legally, I wonder?
Right. I mean, I can see this law, leading to law enforcement people feeling like they're walking on eggshells,
Yeah.
They approach the wrong guy and boom, they're hit with, racial profiling.
Well, the sheriff did acknowledge that ignoring the law could get him hauled into court. Again, this is SB 1070, which allows citizens to sue any law enforcement official who doesn't comply with the law. But Dupnick told the radio station that it would force his deputies to adopt racial profiling as an enforcement tactic, which would also get him sued. So he's saying, damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's just a stupid law. Representative Ted Poe compared undocumented immigrants to Brazilian grasshoppers. Now, regular grasshoppers wouldn't be insulting, but apparently some people are taking issue with the fact that it's the Brazilian grasshoppers. Take a listen.
Now, it seems to me that if we are so advanced with technology and manpower and competence that we can capture illegal grasshoppers from Brazil in the holds of ships that are in a little small place in Port Arthur, Texas, on the Sabine River. The Sabine River, Madam Speaker, is the river that separates Texas from Louisiana. If we're able to do that as a country, how come we cannot capture the thousands of people that cross the border every day on the southern border of the United States?
Okay, and he actually put up one of these huge novelty-sized pictures of a grasshopper. It's completely surreal. It's completely surreal. Bill Maher saying, you know what, this whole thing of racism, I'm not saying racists are all, or that Republicans are all racist, but racists are absolutely very likely to be Republican. And we'll talk more about the Arizona immigration law. Dennis Kucinich is next, and plenty more coming up after that. You're listening to Midweek Politics.
Midweek Politics with Dave Pakman on midweekpolitics.com.
Midweek Politics is brought to you in part by Jackson & Connor, classically modern men's apparel in Northampton, Massachusetts on the second floor of Thorne's Marketplace, and by DIF Design, specializing in custom business websites at difdesign.com. To find out more about underwriting Midweek Politics, visit midweekpolitics.com.